So what I did is I just kind of assembled a small scene here of something that you might get from layout. And what I did is I did a quick camera. Now, I'm going to try not to touch the camera because in VFX, can't touch the camera. So the two relationships that we're really going to be looking at, okay, is going to be the base of the creature and the chest, okay, or spine one. And first thing I do is when I bring the character in fresh, I see how it was modeled. Okay, then I talk to leads and soups to try to find out what type of character this is. Is it a quadruped? Is it a biped? Blah, blah, blah. Weeks of research, video reference, fast forward. So motion-based animation. You have to think of this as two bouncing balls, but essentially the relationships that I like to create, okay, and study is almost blocking this out, or splocking, if you will, with two literal spheres. But the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a big sphere. Okay, I kind of animate this sphere just roughly along with this character, just so I know where in the world this thing is going to be. And a lot of VFX animators do this, okay, because of the fact that the rig scene is going to be so slow right off the bat that you're not going to be able to scrub like this at all. So just doing kind of something like this. This way, I have a general sense of where the character needs to be. What I'm going to do too is I'm probably going to scale that down a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build my relationship between these. So I'm going to create another polygon sphere. Okay, and this is essentially exactly how I work out certain mechanic shots. Purple. Cool. I'm going to create another sphere. And this is going to kind of represent our chest. I'll do like a green. And now I'm just going to run through this and animate just on these spheres, just to get a base set of motion. So the first thing I do is I just try to splock in what's happening with our pelvis. So we know that our character is approaching this way. We can get the ups and downs happening, you know, once we get in there. I'm going to go ahead and say it's safe to assume that depending on the previous shot, this is a cut of a character already running. So we don't want to have an ease in. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill that right away. So our translate forward, we want to make sure that we are blasting 100% coming in. Okay, we're not easing in at all. This way, we have a constant speed coming in. So one of the things I definitely want to do is make sure that we get a little bit of a phrase out of this, right? And not just 100% use his momentum running forward. We want to get a little bit of an anticipation inside of here. So what I'll actually do now is I would probably hold him here for just 2 or 3 frames. Okay, because then that way we can get a really nice little bit of a jump inside there. I'm just trying to get a really nice phrase inside of this. One thing I also know I want to fake as well is I want to probably have him hold up just a little bit here to strike a really badass pose. So you guys see now in our view right here, we're kind of holding on the top, right? And that allows us to really get that, you know, really nice, whatever kind of pose we're going to hit and really see that. Okay. Next thing is absolutely, I want to build inside of this a definitive slowdown. Okay. Then we can accelerate out. Okay. Then we're going to go on to the chest. And this is where I kind of break down the relationship between these two things. And of course, same thing. We have to go inside of here and make sure that our translate forwards are coming in hot. Okay. And I know there's going to be a little bit of a push off based on this. And I might work some of that up and down inside there. Okay, here we get a little bit of an anticipation. Now I might even be, completely off of this, but I'm just looking at this to help find my motion. Okay, gonna get a little bit of an overlap on this, coming down. All right, and then when we reach our height is when we can actually really show off that open up. Okay, so we get a nice reversal to open up and then falling behind. So I'm just gonna keep this with the character for now, and then I'm gonna work in my overlap after that. Okay, and then I wanna get a nice big overlap here. Okay, coming down this way. And I might even delay that a little bit longer. Right, and then come up here. And by this time, we should be out of the way. See ya. All right, so if we just look at our camera view right here, okay, we're just getting base and a nice overlap of what's happening just with spheres. Now, what I would do is I would probably go in there and I would add a little bit of the, and then push off. But just to have a general idea, at least this is something that you have in your scene that now works that you can use, okay? So now I'm gonna go ahead and bring bad boy back in. So I'm gonna keep this in IK or FK kind of here. I'm gonna move him up this way. All right, then I'm gonna bring him up here. Again, just throwing it up. This is more of like a rig test type thing. Okay, then I'm just gonna bring him down here. Best animation ever. Right? And then what I'm gonna do is when I'm on like this pose, for instance, here in the sky, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it to IK. That's cool. All right, so now let's worry about getting the base set up. All right, so obviously first thing we wanna do is the same thing as our spheres. We wanna make sure that right off the bat, we have forward momentum on our character. Okay, so we're coming in hot. And I'm just gonna kind of start breaking this down to make sure that we have our character getting this nice anticipation inside of here. We can add a step later. And then knowing that we're gonna be overlapping down before we come up. Gonna boost him a little bit higher. And then that way we know probably about here is where we're gonna be at our max overlap downward. Okay, getting him as close to the ground as I can. And getting that upward push before he levels out and then leaves the scene. Running forward. Okay, bye. Thank you. Thanks, Rig. Have a nice day. So that, roughly seems like a decent start to me, right? We have decent motion. We're just planning this out, just still kind of in that planning stage.